All right. What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Just waiting to make sure this live stream gets started. All right. Look at that. Hang tight. There we go. Perfect. All right. So we're live streaming right now on YouTube, also on my Facebook page, and also in my group on Facebook, Improve Your Photography. So just waiting for everybody to kind of get logged in here. But if you're here early, welcome. Really excited. We've been doing these live streams every couple of months. Let me know if you could hear me, by the way. Seems like the audio is working pretty good, but let me know in the comments if you could hear me. Also, let me know in the comments where you are watching from right now. Uh, Hopefully today, what I'm hopefully going to be able to do for you all is to do a studio portrait session. We've got Caitlin coming in. She should be here any minute. But as we are kind of waiting for her to come through, I need your questions, right? Whenever I do these workshops, I kind of just know what I'm going to talk about. But of course, I'm sure you're coming in saying, man, it'd be cool if Miguel talked about this, or maybe he could address that. So by all means, or just let me know in the comments what you would like to know. See some people coming in. Andy Harris, how's it going? Dustin, how's it going? Hope all is well, my friend. Marty McFly from Brazil. Dustin's in Michigan. Armando in El Paso, how's it going? Joseph in Jersey. Jersey Joseph, good to see you. Awesome. Yeah, so as y'all are coming in, let me know if y'all have questions ahead of time. But before we get things started, I want to give like a huge shout out and thank you to Rotolight for sponsoring this live stream. I don't know if y'all realize it, but these types of live streams, they take a lot of effort, a lot of time. I wish there was like a way to just like get my phone and do like a really good looking live stream, but the reality is that it takes quite a bit of setup, a lot of gear that I typically don't use for anything else other than to go live and to do these kind of workshops for you. So um, big thanks to Rotolight for sponsoring and bringing me to you. So we'll be talking here today about their lights. And of course, I'm going to be demonstrating the lights here as we do these photo shoots today. Let's see, we got some more people coming through. Smart Shot, Virginia Beach. Was asking, can the Innova Pro overpower the sun as a video light? So I would say yes, absolutely. I put out a video on my channel maybe a couple of days ago. We actually went out back in the alleyway behind my studio. It was really bright, really hot, midday sun. Took the lights out and actually used it for stills, and it worked perfect. So I would say if you're using it for video, it's going to be even better because you probably are going to be shooting at a higher ISO. So you have the ability to use it outdoors where back in the day that might have been a little tougher to do. So get a lot of light output from this thing. Facebook user, big bro, whoever Facebook user is, how's it going? Let's see, Dennis Windsor, United Kingdom. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So this is going to be pretty cool. I'm testing out something here, by the way, for this live stream that I've never used before. And I feel like if this works, it will hopefully make this a lot more immersive. So I'm going to test this out here really quick. We're going to turn this thing on and I'll show you. I'm a big nerd when it comes to live stream tech. And I'm always trying to figure out, like, how could I do these live streams that make them more interesting and more immersive for people to watch? And so one of the things that I came up with was to use one of my cameras and basically have it with a wireless HDMI transmitter. And then the hope is, if this works right, that I'll actually be able to vlog style do this live stream and show you anything, like show you whatever it is. So let's see. Hey, look at that. It's working. All right. So now with this setup, I could actually walk around and I could show you, for example, the lights, show you the setups, of course, the backgrounds and all that kind of good stuff, which is kind of fun. So just to show you, by the way, here's my little live stream setup. And this thing on average probably takes me a good, I would say, 4 to 5 hours to get this all wired up and set up. And then, of course, after the stream is done, I have to take everything apart, take it down, which is kind of a pain. But whatever it takes to get a good looking live stream for y'all. Let's see. Is there any information on the roller flight case and the inlays? So I did not get that version. I have the version with, let me see what it's called. Uh, I guess it's just their, it's the case that comes with a gold bundle. So I guess that is the flight case. Is that what you were asking for? No, you got the roller flight. Okay. So yeah, the one I have is not the roller. It's just the standard case. I'm not sure on the roller flight case and the inlays, but I could say that on the regular case, it fits beautifully. I actually flew from Orlando up to Boston to do a workshop with Hunt's and basically flew with this flight, which was interesting. But you know what? Made it to Boston, did all of my events, and actually had them at Hunt's return the light through FedEx. No problems. Kept the light safe. Fits perfectly. So it's pretty sweet. Let's see. Are you on YouTube more right now or Facebook? I'm typically on YouTube quite a bit more, especially for these kinds of live streams. I'm typically doing them on YouTube. It's just a lot easier. And also, I have a bigger audience on YouTube. So try to help out as many people as I possibly can. And I feel like YouTube is kind of the place for that. Photo tag. Hello from Greece. Good to have you here. Bent Trill. What's going on? I feel like it was just yesterday that we were hanging out in New York. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see. What does the flight case fit? Can you show it, please? Yes, I can. Let's see where it is. Take you on a little tour here of the studio. Where did I put that case? Hold on. Of course, I have all the lights out, so I can do this shoot. Where in the world did I put that flip case? Hold on. This is what happens when you spend like 4 hours here, just kind of moving things out of the way. Hang tight. I will show you this case. Hold on. I put it in my office. Yes. All right. Hold on. All right. Got the case. Flip this around. All right, so here's the flight case. This is what it looks like. And got these pretty nice little latches here. There we go. So that's what it looks like on the inside. I'll go a little wider here. There we go. So the way that I traveled with this thing, I basically had the light inside of the case, and I had the batteries in these little slots here. So that's pretty much it. It's fitted for the light, so plenty of room for that. And again, keeps it very, very safe, considering that I flew from Boston or from Orlando to Boston with this thing, and it did not get destroyed. It's another thing, and one of the big reasons why I love using Rotolight products is the fact that like this stuff is bulletproof. You know, they make these things in such a way to where everything is just really high quality. I don't feel like I have to baby this stuff, which is a big, big benefit. Let's see. Punk Rock Press up from New Jersey. Good to see you. My old stomping grounds in Jersey. Miss y'all. Faded Pictures. How's it going? So is there space for the bigger yolks? In this one, I don't think so. Basically, the yoke that comes with it is pretty big. So this one does fit in there fine. I'm not sure which one you're speaking of. If you're talking about like the double, That's definitely not gonna fit. Not with this case, at least. You also have the power supply yoke. I do not. So I'm actually running this thing off of the, small V-mount batteries, which are pretty nice. I should probably hold on. Let me flip my there it goes. So I can't see what I'm showing you here. There it is. So yeah, V-mount batteries, they're small, quite a bit smaller than the standard V-mounts, by the way, just to give you a little bit of a comparison here. Here's the, this size, V-mount battery. We'll put them side by side here. So you can see it's quite a bit different as far as the size. You could use those if you want, but you've got a USB for charging, and of course D-tap. So charge these bad boys up before this class, so hopefully they'll last us for a long time. And they should definitely last for a long time because I did a like I said, when I did that workshop at Hunt's, they worked out great. No, not the double, the one with the power supply. Uh, I'm not 100% sure because I don't have it. So I have to get back to you on that one. Wallach Photo, Lodi, New Jersey. Good to have you here. Let me switch over to, there we go. Let me switch back over because I don't want this vlog setup to die on me before we get the party started here. Let's turn that off. Yeah, so great questions, by the way. As you all have more questions, let me know. Let's see. Why am I waking up to found footage video of you? That's just the way it is. I'm trying a different setup for the live stream. Part of the challenge is like I always feel like when I'm watching a live stream, usually it's just one camera that's locked off. Maybe it's a webcam or something like that. And there's always something that you can't see as the viewer. And so, I only have basically 4 inputs in the streaming device that I'm using. And so those 4 inputs, basically, I have 2 cameras. So I've got that camera, I've got this angle over here, of course, my laptop, because when I am shooting tethered, I want you to be able to see the photographs as they're coming through. And then, of course, the 4th camera setup was the vlog style found footage, found footage setup. And I feel like with that one, I could actually get in really close to stuff and show you the product and show you how I set everything up. So yeah, that's the goal. I'm glad you're rocking the LEDs. They're really nice, man. Thank you. Uh, YOLO or the ATEM. Yeah, I max mine out too, like all the time. Yeah, I'm using the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. And so I haven't used the YOLO branded one, but looks pretty sweet. Phototag was asking, what do you use for live stream OBS? I'm actually using StreamYard. And I've been using StreamYard for a couple of years now. It's way better now because you can actually live stream in HD, which is something that's pretty awesome. I love the fact that within the software, I can actually live stream on multiple social media sites at the same time, which is really cool. So we're streaming right now on YouTube and also on 2 Facebook pages, which is pretty sweet. So I do like that. You also have the option of doing recordings as well. So you could basically just have a similar type of setup as what we have today, but it just kind of records it. I can go back after the fact, chop it up, make it into a video. So it's pretty nice. StreamYard is better because the paywalled HD is in the free model now. I did not know that. So that's pretty awesome. Caitlin, what's up? Welcome. Our model has arrived. Whoa, and now Alexa's answering. What's up? Yay. We're live on YouTube right now. I'm just answering questions. If you want to, actually, you're already ready. See, look at this. I'm always like, this is why you got to make sure that you bring the right people for these things because makes it a lot harder if people just show up and they're not ready. Makes life hard. So we're good. Gabe, how's it going? All right, cool. So now we could actually kind of get this thing going. I don't have to tap dance anymore. We'll get into the meat and potatoes of this. Mr. Camera Junkie, how's it going? Good to have you here as always. As y'all are here in the chat, let me know what questions you have, not just about these specific lights, which are really amazing, by the way. I will say, let me go to my secondary setup here. You can save up to 30% right now on the new Anova Pro 3. They're selling these through Kickstarter. And so if you want to save, now's the time to do it. I think there's very little time left. I don't know if it's a day or two. It'll say it on that link, but make sure you check it out because I do know that those specials are going to be ending very, very soon. All right. So let's talk about the setup here. We'll switch cameras. So I'm going to do kind of like a multi-light setup. We're going to build this thing up over time. We're going to start off just doing things really simple with just the Anova Pro 3 as our only light. Show you how I modify this light as well. There are different ways to do it. Backgrounds, just using a plain, or not plain, but a textured background from Westcott. And really love the background because you could actually just pick it up with one hand and move it, which is very difficult to do with seamless paper. So very simple. Of course, we got Caitlin here. Awesome as always. If you watch any of my YouTube videos, live streams, tutorials, she is a familiar face. So we'll get this thing kicked on here. Camera-wise, so you all know, I'm using the Sony Alpha 6700, and I'm going to use the 16 to 55 f2.8 G series lens. There was a question here in regards to whether or not these lights can be triggered, and the answer to that is yes, they can be triggered, and we will be triggering them. So we're going to shoot them as constant lights to get started, and of course, as time goes on and we are kind of settling into the shoot, we will shoot with flash, because they do have the ability to work as a flash. The other thing as well is when you're shooting it as a flash, you actually get a little bit more light output out of them. I believe it's to stop more power. So in the event that you need more power, you could do that. So again, Alpha 6700. We've got the 16 to 55 f2.8. There's the setup. I've got this thing tethered to Capture One. So y'all will see these photos as they come through. And I'll show you how I build this thing up. Let's do some picture-in-picture action. There we go. So I'll show you how I get this thing set up here. All right, so first things first. One of the really cool things with LED lighting is the fact that basically what you see is what you get. And especially when you pair that up with a mirrorless camera, it's very, very powerful. Saves you a lot of time and just getting your lights set up the way that you want them. So what I tend to do with these lights is I'll keep them somewhere around eye level. In this case, I've got it a little above eye level, but what I'm trying to do is to basically kind of carve out the shadows on Caitlin's face, carving out some highlights here as well. So on this light, by the way, which I'm going to turn on my vlog style setup here so I can show you what's happening. And again, any questions that y'all have in regards to studio photography, portraiture, whatever the case might be, let me know in the comments. Well, M4 gets fired up here. Just waiting for that to kick on. Actually, let's go here. Well, that's, I want y'all to think that the live stream died. Just takes a second for this HDMI to link up here. Come on, here we go. Sweet. All right. So as you can see, and of course it looks brighter because of the fact that we've got, let me change my settings here. There we go. So now we're at F13. So as you can see, this is typically what I do when I shoot portraits. I basically will take the bottom of the light and I'll have it somewhere at eye level. So you can see from my perspective, it's just above her eye level. You know, you can kind of play around with that, but I'm sorry, I'm going to get, it's wide. So you're not like, it's not very close, but it might feel that way. So you're going to notice that, you know, her face is basically almost entirely because of where the position of the light is. We're getting a little bit of shadow on her cheekbone, so it's starting to kind of give dimensionality to that. She has the shadows falling underneath her chin. So these are things that are really cool with the mirrorless camera. You can actually see what this is going to look like before you take the photograph, which is great. If you have the light in the wrong place, then it might look kind of weird. For example, not that I want to make this look weird, but let's just do it since we can. So let's say if we did something like this, right? You could see that we're kind of getting a little bit of a Rembrandt style lighting where you get that triangle underneath the eye. So depending on how she poses her face, we might have that really nice Rembrandt lighting. It doesn't look good for everybody. Caitlin's got a face where I can light with whatever, and I'm cheating, right? But the problem is that underneath the nose, you see now how, like, depending on where her face is, you're not getting that Rembrandt light. So Caitlin, look this way a little bit. So you see, it just kind of changes the light pattern, and depending on how hard the light is, it might not be the most pleasing looking light ever. So you got to make sure that you have the light placed in the right place. And the good thing is that you basically use your eyes. Does the lighting look good to your eyes? And if it doesn't, it's not going to look good to the camera either. So that's one of the big benefits with LED lighting. That's what the light, by the way, positioned essentially to her side. So it's right to the side of Caitlin. So we're going to bring this thing back around, bring this thing to that like overhead. And I'm going to have you take a little step this way. There you go. Reflection, and back this thing up a little tiny bit. Actually, raise this up a little. So we've got some barn doors, by the way. Go around to the front of the light. So as you can see, uh, barn doors on the light is going to kind of concentrate this light mostly on the face. Of course, the background does get a little splash of light. That's the setup. So one very simple setup. Go back to camera one. We're going to see if we can just leave this thing on, kill the battery, see if we get lucky. All right. Yikes, that thing is bright. Yes, you are correct. It is very bright. And of course, I just took a picture of my hands. I can see, let's see. No, the tether's working. All right. So camera settings here, we're gonna toy around with. I'm gonna bring my ISO down to go to 1.6, bring my f-stop to 1.6, and 1/160 for my shutter. Let's test this out. Oop. So another nice thing too, shooting with LED lights is that you can do continuous shooting. All right, so here we are. We're starting off picture in picture again. We're starting off here with a pretty bright image. I'm going to throw up the exposure warning, and surprisingly enough, so it's if I look at the histogram, it's actually not like totally overexposed. You do see a little bit of overexposure on the tip of the nose, which is to be expected. Uh, it's not too big of a deal. I could actually just drop the highlights, and now we're back in business. So exposure wise, that's not terribly bad. We've got kind of like a nice little starting point here at f5.6. I might actually just go up to, or actually, let's go down to 125. Let's see what we get here. Perfect. Hold that right there. Excellent. All right, and now we got a perfect exposure. So that's looking pretty good. Let's see what the color looks like on the stream. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Awesome. So f5.6, 1/160 for my shutter, ISO 125. You could see that it just took a couple of shots to really just dial this in, but realistically, because I'm shooting mirrorless, I could see the exposure. Huge benefit of shooting with an LED. If we used it in flash mode, there would be a little bit more kind of back and forth. I'd have to take a few shots to kind of settle in on, you know, what settings that I would want to take these at. But this looks pretty good to me. I I am shooting these. You're actually seeing the JPEG, but I'm shooting JPEG and RAW, and I'm sending the JPEGs into Capture One so that I don't end up taking up too much space on my computer. So hopefully that answers most of the questions that might be coming in. But again, any other questions that you have, let me know. I'm going to keep riffing here. I'm actually going to bring up this light just a tiny bit. One of the big things that I recommend to people, regardless of what light it is that you're using, you should get yourself a boom arm. That's basically this arm right here. It's an attachment that goes on a light stand. And what's great about this is that with this boom arm, I can actually shoot directly underneath it. If I had the light stand only, the light stand would be here, and it would be blocking, would not be good. So just a tiny bit. And by the way, this is the harder light setting on this Rotolight because there is no diffusion whatsoever. So that is going to give you some really deep shadows. But I want to show you this. I'm going to take another photo just to see if the height is the way I want it. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So exposure looks good. And what I want y'all to notice is the shadows, right? So when we're talking about hard light versus soft light, your hard light setups are going to have some pretty deep shadows. In this case, because the light is centered above, you're going to have some shadows on the cheekbones here, under the nose, under the chin. So there's some different ways for us to be able to soften this light. One of the ways that I love to do that is actually through the use of what is called a flag. And so we have a flag here that I'm going to bring into the frame. This is actually I believe this is a one stop. I forgot what the colors were. It's a one stop. So we'll put this in front of our light. There we go. I'm gonna have you take a little step backwards. That's good. Okay. So y'all can see this now. I've got this flag here, and basically that is going to give us a little bit of a softer light. The goal is going to be here that we're going to have to basically get this out of the frame. So do something like that, and something like this. And let's go to our vlog style setup here because y'all got to see this. Here we go. Angel says, I'm here for the biscuits. That's what I'm talking about. Gabe says, how do I set up my Capture One to only see the JPEG and that camera only gets the RAW and JPEG? You set it up in your camera menu. I don't know if you're shooting Sony or not, but in your Sony camera, you could actually adjust how the files are being input into Capture One and what's being saved in your camera. So are there any matching softboxes? Can you show them, or the electronic softbox? Yes, I do have the smart softbox from Rotolight. I'll show you that soon. We're building up to it, man. We're getting there. Is the electronic softbox fitting in the flight case? I could not get it to fit. No. Let's see. Love your streams. Thanks for these educational streams. Thank you. All right. So let's go to our setup here. So I'm going to see if I can figure out how I could show you this, but you can see here that now with this diffusion, we're now getting a much softer shadow compared to the shots that we were getting earlier. We'll take a photo so you can see the side by side, but basically putting that flag in front of the light could be a really simple way for you to soften that light source. I don't mind it. I actually love kind of shooting with harder light, especially if you have somebody who's got a little bit of like a angularity to their face, right? Because you can carve out those details. But let me see where my f-stop is here. I'm very dark. There we go. Yeah, so you do have the ability to go in there with a very simple modifier. You don't have to go out and, you know, get a softbox or something like that. You can. You'll have a lot more control, and you're going to get to shape the light a little bit better. But I'm showing you some budget options for you to be able to shape the light how you like. The other thing you could do too, I've got an EOS here going into a white V flat. So you could also do this too. If you wanted to have like a bigger, softer light, you could actually just bounce the Innova Pro 3 in this case, bounce the Innova Pro 3 into the white board or a white wall, and that also will create a much softer light as well. So a few different options to be able to soften the light, but that's the setup that we're settling on for the moment. And we'll take a few photos here and we'll see how that looks in comparison. So same settings again, not changing anything. 5.6, 1/160, and ISO 125. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. And so you're going to see that with this shot, because we softened the light, the exposure is actually a little bit different as well. It did cut down the exposure versus the first shot that we took. So that is another thing to keep in mind with these flags. They do have different levels of diffusion. So you could do like a half stop, 3/4 of a stop, full stop, quarter, or 1 1/4 stops. It just depends on which fabric it is that you're using, as far as like how soft that light's going to be and how much it's going to impact your exposure. In this case, I'm at ISO 125. So realistically, even with an APS-C sensor, you could bring your ISO up and it's still going to be really clean. So if I'm at, let's see, 320, take this one here. So you can see we went from 125 to 320, and now we're getting a much nicer exposure. And again, we started here with the hard light. Let's see if I could do a side by side here. So here was our hard light setup on the left, softer light setup. All we did was just bring in that diffusion. You'll see that it's actually in the frame. And so I think a lot of people are very surprised when they see me shoot, that sometimes they'll see the modifier in my shot. And I always am quick to remind people that there's this really cool program called Photoshop that literally takes this out in like seconds. Now with they have their generative fill option. And so you could literally just select this area and just hit generate, and it will fill it. Even with this textured background, it will make like a textured background in that corner. You will never know that it was there. So if it's really bothering you when you're shooting on your own, you could always just move it. That's totally up to you. For me, I don't mind. It's pretty easy to adjust later on. Let's see, James, can I do this with my budget camera, Nikon D3500? Yes, you can. The cool thing with LEDs, actually, this is it's a good question. Let's D3500, I think, is more modern than what I'm gonna do, but let me see if I can find something here. I'm in my camera museum, by the way, so apologies if you cannot see me. Here we go. No memory card. All right. Well, I'll just show you anyway. So I've got a old. This is a Sony. What is this thing? HX50V. So it's a little point and shoot camera. There's no. It's actually got a hot shoe, so I could put the Godox trigger on this and trigger this light. But we're not going to do that today because that would be very extra. But what's really cool is because we're shooting with LEDs, you could do this with an old DSLR. You could do it with an old point and shoot camera. You could do this with your phone. I mean, it's an LED light. So it's ultimately like if you were shooting with available light, except you have the ability to control it quite a bit more, which is pretty sweet. Let's see. Just have good glass for better results. That is correct. And yeah, they do work with Nikon, Canon, whoever, because again, they're constant lights. So yeah. All right. So with that being said, so we've got our flag here. We could use that to adjust the light. Just wanted to show this to you as an option. But what is really cool with this Rotolight Innova Pro 3 is that they have what is called the Smart Softbox. And this Smart Softbox, I'm going to pull the one for the AOS. Sorry, I got to walk around. There's cables everywhere. Do, 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 do. All right. So let's just change this camera here so y'all can see it full screen. All right. So this was the Smart Softbox for the AOS. As you can see, I'll set this thing up so you can see what it looks like. This is the one for the Innova Pro 3. So pretty big difference in terms of the size. It's also different in the way that it actually mounts to the light. I actually love the way that they set this thing up because it is much faster, much easier to set up than the prior model. So we'll turn this thing off for a second and I'll flip this around so y'all can see. Bring this thing down. And there we go. All right. So with the Smart Softbox, which hopefully y'all can see that, you've got these pins on the inside of the Innova Pro 3. And so now what you do is you'll take the Smart Softbox and you line it up with these pins. Where is it at? Of course, I'm here trying to do this. It's a little tricky. So what I would like to do with this, by the way, is to take off the barn doors. That would be ideal. But when you take off the barn doors, basically you just put this thing on and you drop the pins in, and then you plug in the cable. Kind of looks like a telephone cable that plugs in here, plugs into the back of the light, and then you're basically all set. So I'm going to try to do this here. It's a little tricky with the barn doors. Let's see, how impossible would it be for me to take this off right now? It's going to be a little impossible. So any questions, by the way, that y'all have, make sure you leave it in the comments. I'm going to walk over to the computer here in a moment. Yeah, it's got to come off. Let's see. Dang, that's a beauty bucket. Not a beauty dish. Yeah, you know what's funny is that when it first came out, I don't know. I mean, it looked awesome. I didn't really think anything of it. But now seeing this newer design that they're using for the Innova Pro 3, I'm like, man, that's pretty sweet. Substantially smaller. Actually made it quite a bit easier to pack for my Boston trip as well, which was pretty nice. So let's take these barn doors off. And again, any questions y'all have, now's a good time to ask them, because then I can talk about that while I'm doing this. What's fun with these types of workshops, by the way, it's almost like you're actually here at my studio. This is what it would be like if you were here for like a live workshop. Not everything is like perfect, you know? Usually when I do a photo shoot, people don't get to see all the running around and all that stuff. So it's very interesting, I think, for people to kind of see that there's a little more to it than usual. So another thing too, I guess probably be a good time to mention this. I have started doing memberships on my YouTube channel. So if you want to learn in this kind of way where we do these live streams, it might be a cool idea for y'all to sign up for that, because I'm going to try to do one live stream every month that's going to be a members only live stream. And so the idea is going to be that, you know, there'll be less people. You could ask questions. You can give me ideas, settings, things that you want to see. We could actually do all of that. I could take the time to do it on a more private basis. So picture it as being almost like a private workshop with a very small group. So in order to do that, you can sign up via the join button on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, just head over to my YouTube channel and you will see the on any of my YouTube videos, you'll see where it says join, and you could simply sign up for that. There are different levels. One of the options is going to give you early access to content. I'm also making exclusive content as well on YouTube for people who are members. So there are going to be videos that are not public videos. So hopefully those will help out as well. All right. So without further ado, Smart Softbox. This thing is straight magic. Let me show you, lower this down a little bit so you can see the effect a little better. So right now it's at 100% diffusion, and we'll bring this down. I think probably it's still hard for the camera to see. Let's bring it down. This is at 1%, by the way, just still pretty bright. So y'all should hopefully be able to see the individual LEDs that make up the Innova Pro 3. This is at 1%. Sorry, it's 0% diffusion. But using the Smart Softbox, I can adjust that. You'll see that now there's 0 diffusion, 100% diffusion. And you're seeing everything in between. So it's really sweet. You could take this hard light, right? And it's still a soft light, but you could get this light to be quite a bit softer using this Smart Softbox, and you could easily transition between hard and soft, which is kind of gangster, not gonna lie. So we're gonna take this thing to 100% on the diffusion and 100% on the power. Let's bring this thing up. Now you can see what this looks like. So again, I showed you kind of like the budget version, if you want to call it that, of how you can soften your light. Now we're actually going to do it with the Smart Softbox. So take a little sidestep this way. It's perfect. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. And 1, 2, 3. Great. All right, so you could see with the Smart Softbox, and this is at 100% diffusion, pretty much the same spot that it was earlier, but you're going to notice that we had, this was our hard light shot on the left, and then our shot with the Smart Softbox with the diffusion at 100%. So you're getting a softer light, which is pretty sweet. That's at 100% diffusion. We'll take this down so you can see what 0% looks like. So here is 0 diffusion. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. And 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. All right. So again, a little bit extreme, but we'll take the one on the left is with the diffusion at 100%, and the one on the right is at 0%. So you'll notice that your exposure, I didn't change my camera settings, but because the light got a little bit more specular and got a little brighter, I technically should compensate with my ISO, bring it back down to, I don't know, 160, maybe 200, just to kind of balance it out. But, you know, again, we've got some room. If you look at the histogram, we're not blowing anything out. So we do have the ability to kind of toy with this in post-production. So really simple, really easy setup, kind of building this thing up here. Let me see, going to the questions here. Let's see, would there be an exposure? No, there will not, Critical Shot Studios. There will not be an option. Gabe says Transformers. Yeah, cool. All right. So this is the kind of like basic setup, one light. We're gonna dial things up a little bit because we do have some additional lights here. Nova Pro 3 will continue to be my main light for this setup. In this case, we're going to do something kind of cool. Y'all saw the thumbnail where I had a light, or I had a shot where basically the model was lit blue, and then she had a little bit of like a orange highlight on the hair, which is pretty cool. We're going to do that same kind of setup. This is what I did for my Hunts camera demo. And in this case, I'm using the EOS 2 Pro as the second light because I only have one of the Innova Pro 3s. And I even have a Neo 3, which I'm going to bring into this equation here shortly. But let's start here. Let's see what we can do. All right. There we go. So second light is our EOS 2 with barn doors. And let's see if I can do this. I might end up turning off these other LEDs in here. So I don't want them to mess with my exposure. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Hang tight. All right, hang tight. So we're gonna turn off our room lights here. There we go. Turn these back on in a minute. There we go. All right. Y'all can't see, can you? Oh yeah, you can. Good. All right. So let's bring in this blue. So that, yeah. 100. 0% diffusion. There we go. Perfect. All right, so now I'm using primary blue for the gel on the main light. And let's see what we get here. And this is at F9. So you can see here that we're going to toy around with these settings here because at F9, 1/160th of a second shutter, ISO 320, the exposure actually looks okay, but the hair light is not coming in super bright. And so we're going to have to play around with that here. So what we could do, we have a few different options to be able to kind of get the exposure that I would like to get, which looks a little bit better and more cinematic. I guess the first thing that I would do looking at this is the main light looks pretty good to me. I do have the EOS 2 at full power, but of course the Innova Pro 3 is quite a bit more powerful. So what I could do is just bring this light in a little bit closer. And I could see now to my eyes that I could already see that it's quite a bit brighter. So now, here we go. Perfect. Nice. So now you can see that the hair light got a little bit brighter, which is pretty nice. Our main light actually might be a little too bright. So we could take the Innova, let's bring it down. This is at 55%. There we go. Wonderful. Yeah, to me, the exposure on this looks quite a bit better. By the way, I talk about this a lot in my workshop. It's very, very important that when you're shooting portraits, especially if you're doing studio stuff, make sure that your eyes are sharp and that they're in focus. You shouldn't be missing focus in the studio, especially when you're at these like narrow f stops like f9. It's one of the big benefits I think of doing studio stuff is that you can get the eyes to be quite a bit sharper. But exposure wise, I feel like that looks pretty cool. And by cool, I don't mean temperature. I like the shot. So f9, 1/160, ISO 320 looks sweet. We'll take some horizontal shots here. Very nice. Awesome. Good. Very good. And this is another example right here that I'll bring up. You're going to see that in these raw files, you might see the edge of the frame. So if you're doing any kind of like studio photography, and let's say you don't have the money to get or the space to have a bigger or wider backdrop, don't worry about it. As long as you have your subject centered on that backdrop, The edges of the backdrop, you could always extend it in Photoshop, so it's not terribly difficult. How does the Anova Pro 3 compare to the Titan X1? That's a really interesting question. I have a Titan X1, but it is currently uh, on a shelf right now, and it's buried under some bags. So it would take me a little too long to show you today, but I might make a video about that. I see the Neos. Do they act the same way as this one? Can they also do like a flash thing, or are they just the static light? So it's a good question. You did see, you're an eagle-eyed viewer. I like that. So I've got a Neo 3 back here. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is all touch screen. The menus are very similar across all the devices, but you'll notice here it says flash. So these are the different remotes. So you could use the Skyport, Godox trigger. Let's see, sync, so you could have it wired. And I believe this one's not in the firmware because I have to update the firmware on this, but you could also use Pro Photo as well. So pretty slick. Why not add another light? Let's do that. Since you made me turn it on to begin with, let's just bring it in here. We're using a orange gel. I'm going to switch over to the other one because I know I dialed this one in via HSI. So we're going to go to gels. Now both of those backlights are the same. So now we got all three lights. We got an EOS 2, we have a Neo 3, and we have an Anova Pro 3. So here we go. Beautiful. Good. Very cool. Awesome. Good. And keep in mind as well, I'm using a APS-C camera here. One of the things that I feel like I get comments quite a bit is people are saying, "Oh, you're using this kind of high-end setup," and you know what? Alpha 6700 is pretty sweet. The lens is really good. The 16 to 55 is great. So you could get some good glass. It doesn't have to be full frame. Definitely helps, but let's see. So I see the Neo, so we talked about that. So far we know Neo 3 Pro should flash. Yep, that is true. I may have to start off with the Neo 2s. Uh, Neo 2s are a little bit different. I would definitely recommend if you're getting into any of these Rotolight products, get the more recent stuff. The touchscreen, the Neo 3 actually works with the Sony MPF batteries, which is huge. They're going to last you quite a bit longer. You won't have to go through so many batteries so often, which is pretty nice. So, yeah, highly recommended. Go with the modern stuff. All right, so I don't know if y'all saw the photos as they were coming in, but yeah, it's one of the really cool things with LEDs. Like, it's just very, very simple to, uh, go in there and just kind of see what the light looks like. You can modify it. Just so that you know, this is another thing that I personally try to look out for. You're going to notice here, so we're getting the nice little edge light from the Neos, but it's starting to light up Caitlin's nose and also her lips as well. So I try as much as I can to make sure that the backlights, if they're hair lights, they should really only be lighting the hair. So just kind of be aware of that because you'll see like, I mean, I didn't play around with it too much, but you'll see as we go from shot to shot here that we're getting some light that's spilling on the front of the face. And especially here, it's kind of just like random, right? So we're getting these like orange highlights on the lips. So again, really simple. If you're doing a shoot like this, we'll go to my little vloggy setup here so you can see this. Give me 2 seconds while that fires up. All right. So what's powerful with this setup and with LED lights in general is that you could see what the light is doing, like, just looking at your camera, right? So what you're seeing right now is what I'm seeing through the viewfinder. So you could see, for example, on Caitlin's face, we're getting the edge right there on the face. We're getting on here on her cheekbone. You may or may not want it to actually light the face. Like, I like that it's lighting the shoulders. I like that it's lighting the hair. But Caitlin, do me a favor, turn the face this way. Yep. So like from there, it's actually not terrible. Like we're getting some nice light on the face, but you want to be intentional about where this is actually lighting your subject. So if you don't want it to light their face, don't make it light their face, right? As they're moving around, if you see the light on the face like this, when you take the photo, it's going to be there, right? And I think this is probably one of the things that is always very surprising that people don't understand this. With LED lights, it's very easy to tell what it's actually doing to your image before you take the photo. So if something doesn't look right, please fix it. All right. So let's try a little setup here. Dave in Portland, how's it going? So I'm going to try something here that I'm not sure if it's going to work, but let me know if y'all have questions, by the way. I'm going to see what I did with my remote. I have a Pro Photo remote. I have a Godox remote. I got an Ellen Chrome trigger. And of course, I had the Godox trigger in my hand. And in that 4-hour window that I was setting some stuff up, I probably just walked off with it. So see where that went off to. Bum, bum, bum. The joys of a live stream. Let's see. But yeah, you have different kinds of triggers that you can use, which is pretty sweet. I could have sworn I put it on this rolling cart, but it's not there anymore. Ah, here it is. Okay. All right. So I've got, what is this thing called? Godox X Pro S. All right. Take this thing, switch it over to flash. All right. Cool. Well, let's try this out. See if we can make something cool. And this is actually the first time that I'm trying it with the Godox remote. So if it doesn't work, we'll figure it out. All right. So we left everything the same. I'm just kind of curious to see what happens here. All right. So the flash is working. Very cool. All right. Yeah, this is great. So here's what we're going to do. Got some ideas spinning in my head here right now. This should be fun. All right. I'm going to turn off my AOS 2. Here we go. That off. And then I'm going to put this black V flat behind you. All right. And then we'll take this light. So we got our Neo 3. It's been a while since I've done this setup, so this should be really interesting. Okay. And last but certainly not least, we're going to get a tripod. Now, I don't use a tripod all that often for studio stuff, unless I'm doing something kind of creative, which is what I'm going to try to do right now. I'm doing it on the fly, so if it doesn't work, don't sue me. We're going to try to make something kind of cool. I've been meaning to make a tutorial showing this type of setup. I just haven't gotten around to it. But some of my favorite shots that I've done in a while were actually done using this little setup that I'm about to show y'all. So let's see. Right. Let me not even describe it. I'm just gonna do it. All right, here we go. Okay, take a little test here. So, what I need you to do, just look directly at the camera and do not move because it's going to be a long exposure, longish. We're going to work our way up here. Here we go. One, two, three. Oh, one. Wasn't very long at all. Go. Let's go to a second. We're going to drop our ISO. And I already know that y'all are not going to be able to see this. So let's put that on the screen. There we go. All right. Here we go. Try this one more time. One, two, three. All right. We're getting there. Now, what I need is change our flash sync here. Go into my menu. Some of you might be keen on what I'm trying to do. Some of you may not. So we'll see. Here we go. One, two, three. Yeah. Yep. All right. So that is at, let's try 8 and power. So we're only at 55. All right. Let's keep toying around with this here. All right, here we go. Don't move. One, two, three. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. So I think one of our things that we have to adjust here is my backlight is very bright. I'm going to bring that to 30%. And we're going to bring my f-stop up to f14. And here we go. One, two, three. There we go. Yeah. Now we're getting something a little different. So let's change, whoops. Let's change our filter color here. See if it goes a little bit better. Whoa, that's mega blue. All right, let's see what we get here. All right, one, two, three. There we go. One more. One, two, three. Ooh. One, two, three. There we go. Hide that light. Here we go. One, two, three. There we go. Cool. Yeah. So haven't explained anything here, but basically I'm at f14, ISO 125, and shooting at 1 second for my exposure. And so what I'm doing is I could switch over to camera 3. Sorry, it's dark, but that's the way the shot has to be. So you're going to see that in the background, Neo 3 is at a very low power, but we could see where it's lighting, right? So we could see that it's lighting Caitlin's face, it's lighting up her hair. We're shooting, the Neo 3 is actually not flashing. It stays on the whole time. The Innova Pro 3 is actually what's flashing right now. So I'm using the Innova Pro 3 as a flash. So we're mixing a flash with a constant LED light, and that's what's actually creating this kind of ghosting type of effect. And so I'll show you here, going back so you can see I'll show you the image in a second, but I want you to see kind of the technique of how it's being done. So again, F14, 1 second exposure and 125 for my ISO. We will lock in our focus. One, two, three. And so when the camera flashes, takes the photograph. We'll show it here. So the flash is actually lighting Caitlin. And then that 1 second exposure, I'm moving the camera, right? So if you saw, I took the camera and I basically, after the flash went off, I just moved the camera really quick. And that's what's creating that kind of a ghosting effect, which is, I think it's pretty cool. You could do different types of movements with the camera. It's going to create a different effect every time. So let's do a few more. I think it'll be fun. Let me change the color. So this filter color is looks like it's a leaf filter that it's emulating, like that blue. Pretty cool. And I might actually try. Let me adjust here. So we know what setting works, but let's go to a 2 second exposure. We'll raise up our f-stop. We'll stay at 125 for ISO. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now that might not work. Yeah, that looks crazy. All right, let's try this again. 1, 2, 3. Do one more here. 1, 2, 3. So depending on how you move the camera after you take the shot, the ghost effect is going to be different every time. There's another one. 1, 2, 3. No. Yeah, that looks cool. Looks really cool. And it looks like I might have something on my sensor. So if you ever see, by the way, these if you ever see these little like things in your photographs, like this little black thing here, it's probably dust on your sensor. So, but you could see kind of the creative effects that we're getting here, and depending on how you move your camera, it's going to change the way that this ghosting appears in your photographs. So I'm going to change this to a different color. Let's do green. No, let's do purple. Purple. I'm going to go this way. Okay. Would it go burr? Oh, yeah. How would it work with the Alpha 9 III? It would work very well because the recycle time on LEDs is basically like nothing. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Do another one. 1, 2, 3. And again, every time I take the photograph, I'm just kind of moving the camera, and it's on a tripod. So Caitlin's going to be sharp if I do it correctly. And then the ghosting is just going to depend on how I move the camera. And so some of these ghosting effects, if I move the camera really fast, Caitlin basically won't have a face. So here you go. Do another one. 1, 2, 3. So this is a minimal shake of the camera here. Nice. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Ooh, it's fun. There we go. 1, 2, 3. So that one I just went down and back up, and you can see that ghosting effect basically goes down and back up. Let's see. Let's go to a 1/6 of a second shutter. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Now I went towards the light. I actually like that a lot. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. So I rotated it to the left and then brought it back. Ooh, might have gone a little too fast on that. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, y'all should be able to see that. Nice. All right. So that's doing kind of a long exposure with a flash and with a constant LED. So you can mix them up. It's pretty fun. The other thing we're going to do here, just so that we can kind of just say that we did it. Um, so right now we're using this in flash mode. I'm actually going to take the Neo 3, which has been a constant light this whole time, and let's bring this up. Bring our shutter speed. Whoops. It's 160. And there we go. All right. Do a little test flash here. Should be working. All right. Here we go. Let's see. Yep, we're working. All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hold on. I did not mean to do a long exposure. Let's go back to say f8. Bring our shutter speed 1 over 160, ISO 100, or sorry, ISO 125. Yeah. All right. So I could tell just by looking at this shot here that my other light is not firing because you cannot see that purple light in the background. So let's go back. Flash. Frequency 21. Where are you on frequency 21? Let's see. So another thing you got to make sure of is that everything is on the correct channel. It's all synced up. You should both be on frequency 1. Okay. Let's see if this will work a little better. 1, 2, 3. Hey, there we go. We got a purple light back there now. Pretty sweet. So again, super easy, just bringing in that secondary light. And now both of these are in flash mode, so it is giving you a little bit more power out of both lights. So let's keep it rocking. Let's take this thing off the tripod because I don't need that anymore. Let's go picture in picture, although you probably can't see. See if this can go brighter. There we go. Cool. Should help. All right. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Awesome. Good. There it is. Good. Good. I'm going to try this out here too. So right now I'm doing single shots. I'm going to put this into a continuous drive mode, and I'm going to put it on mid because I don't want to go too fast where basically I burn out all the storage on my laptop. But I do want to show you, this is one of the cool advantages when you are shooting with these types of LEDs, especially with the Innova Pro 3 with all the power that it gives you. You can shoot continuous with the flash or in flash mode, and it keeps up, which is pretty sweet. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Now, if you were to try to do this with strobe, unless you have like a really expensive one, it's not going to work. So going through these shots here, you can see started here, and we got consistent light all throughout. And that was in flash mode, which is pretty cool. So somebody was asking earlier about the Alpha 9 III. It shoots really high frame rate. It's 120 frames a second. I have not tested it with the Innova Pro 3 just yet, but That is coming up very, very soon. So I will be testing that out, um, hopefully in the next week or two. All right, let's turn these things on. All right, so what questions do you all have? Let me know in the comments as I'm getting all this stuff kicked back on. Actually, I think that should be fine. Leave it like that. There it is. That's camera 3. All right, cool. Let's see. Going back here to the chat. All right, so if y'all have questions, let me know. Again, super big sale going on right now, being that this is being launched on Kickstarter. So if you're seeing these lights and you think that it would work well with your workflow, now is really the time to do it because they're offering basically the best discounts that you're going to be able to get on these lights. So up to 30% for the early bird special. The link for this is in the description of this video. You can see they have different packages, just the light by itself. You can get a double pack, triple pack, silver bundle, gold bundle, platinum bundle, right? All different types of bundles depending on what your price range is and what you're looking to do. But I will say this, let's go to my camera here. I will say this that these lights, if you're a studio photographer, they are fantastic. They're durable, they're rugged. The lighting quality, as you can see, I've done several live streams over the course of the last like year or two using different Rotolight products. And part of the reason why is that these Rotolight LEDs make skin tones look awesome, right? That's something that I can't say for every LED set that's out there. Many of them, you turn them on and you're like, wow, that light is really bright. But when you take pictures of people, sometimes the skin tones look a little bit green or a little bit magenta. With these Rotolights, that doesn't happen, right? You're getting beautiful skin tones, whether you're shooting video, shooting stills. These are the kind of products, the way that they're built, they're going to last, right? So if you're seeing these prices, again, it's not for everybody. Somebody like me who's a studio photographer, if you're shooting on location, it's going to be beautiful because what I did not mention is that these are IP65 rated. So you could have these outdoors if it's raining, no problem, right? That's something, again, that would be very difficult to do if you were using a strobe. So for somebody like me, I live in Orlando, Florida. It's probably raining outside right now. I could take this light outside and I could go take pictures with it. So very, very smooth. Again, all the details on this light are in the description of the video. If this is something you think would work well for you, you're going to want to jump on that pretty soon. So one of the questions that wasn't asked in the chat but was asked earlier was in regards to posing. And I'm going to make a longer video about this for members. So again, if you missed this earlier, I'm offering memberships on my YouTube channel where I'm going to give you early access to my videos. I'm going to make custom videos as well for members. And I'm also going to do live streams just like the one you're watching right now. I'm going to do them once a month. It's going to be a smaller group. Any questions that everyone has. It's going to be more of an intimate type of workshop scenario. Um, but I don't even know where I was going with that. But yeah, you definitely want to make sure you sign up for that. So it looks like we are pretty much set as far as questions go. If you're catching this on the replay, again, leave your questions in the comments. Uh, obviously, the pricing is going to be a little bit different because the Kickstarter would be over at that point. But any questions you have on these lights and things like that, I'll be able to come back, answer them after the fact. And again, hopefully I can see some of y'all for some of these upcoming live streams. Big thanks to Rotolight for sponsoring this event. And oh, now I remember what it was, the posing. I let the lighting, the way that the model is styled, I let that dictate how the person is going to pose. So what I think a lot of people kind of get caught up with posing is that they'll look up like posing cheat sheets and things like that. And then they're like, hey, could you make a pose like this? And then it doesn't work, right? And part of it is because the pose might work for the person in that little style guide, but the person you're photographing, it might be totally different. It may not work for them. And that's okay. I will look at what they're wearing. I look at the way that I'm lighting them, and I try to get them to play a little bit to the mood of the lighting and to the mood of what they're wearing. So, like in this case, Caitlin's got this leather jacket. She looks like a badass. I'm not going to get her smiling at the camera. That would be weird, right? You can't have this really cool cinematic lighting, black leather jacket, and then Kool-Aid smiling it up to the camera. Like it's going to be weird. So your posing guides are not going to know, or any posing books that you read, or it's not going to know what is the person in front of you presenting to the camera. So the biggest tip that I can give you, and where I was going with the membership thing, I'm going to make more videos about posing because I know that is something that a lot of you have questions and want to learn about. But from the baseline of posing, that's kind of what I look at. Looking at their wardrobe, looking at the lighting, try to get them to tell a little bit of a story. We'll get more into that in future videos, but I'm going to have Caitlin's information in the description of this video, so make sure that you give her a follow, and we'll see you later. Thanks for coming, Caitlin, and thanks to everybody for joining for this live stream. Thanks to Rotolight again, and yeah, see you for the next one.